It is Thursday, May 5th, 2016. Welcome to the Alien Invasion number 183, a production of Galactic Netcasts. I'm Dave Nelson. Joining me, as always, Brad Ludwig and Anessa Moyens. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Howdy. How are you guys doing?
Okay. Doing all right.
All right.
No complaints.
By the way, thanks again to Monkey Warhol for the theme music. And good news, nobody complained about how hard it is. My wife heard it. She's like, it's kind of loud. It's kind of screamo. I'm like, well, they were nice enough to give it to us. So, if somebody doesn't like it, I guess they'll let us know, right?
Well, we're not going to change it.
Yeah, TFB if they don't like it.
But you're welcome to complain. But
so what's new with you guys?
Not
Trying to think. Yeah, not
really a whole lot. I'm not going to be part of the show next week.
We have a wedding that we're going to.
Okay.
This weekend.
All right. Okay, that's two things.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Then, it's been raining quite a bit. But you guys, it's been pretty dry there in Canada, hasn't it?
Well, especially out west, there's like the biggest forest fire there ever was going on.
Yeah, I saw.
As large as Chicago.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Which, speaking of Chicago, oh my goodness, George Lucas is trying to build
Chicago.
Yes, build
What?
a museum in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
But he's running into issues because he wants a lakefront property, which happens to be public land, and the public is saying no because it's protected land.
Oh.
So,
well,
yeah. Chicago, I guess, is number 2 on the list of places he wanted to open the museum, because I think originally he was trying to open it in San Francisco, San Diego, somewhere out in California. And that, after 4 or 5 years, that didn't go through. So he moved on to Chicago, and he's hitting some resistance there. And he was kind of hoping to have it built within his lifetime.
Who's next on the list?
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go south or just continue heading east.
You'll find somebody eventually.
Well, because what I was thinking, I mean, it's probably not as scenic as Lake Michigan, which is just a big body of water. But I mean, he could always go to, say, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has a lot of land. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Texas would be a good option. Definitely.
So,
there's already things in
personally,
Texas.
I would kind of dig San Antonio, because I think that's the more scenic, touristy area if you're going to go and be touristy. If you want to be a little more hipster with your tourism, then there's Austin. If you want to wait forever in a day in traffic to get anywhere, there's Houston.
Okay, so you got the vote in. You're voting for Texas for
voting for Texas, because then we go down to Texas, visit, stop at the museum.
Give you more things to do while you're there.
Exactly.
All right. Hey, let's start talking about aliens, shall we? Let's start the news.
In the news.
All right, all alien, extraterrestrial-related stuff. That's what we talk about here on this podcast. And Anessa's got the first story.
We are not alone. Over 200 aliens, all 2 of them.
What, 2?
Maybe even 3, 2.5. I don't know.
That's
They've been
crazy.
busy.
They have been busy. They've gone from 2 to 200. So over 200 alien races regularly visit Earth. Dun,
Wow.
dun, dun.
Busy place.
I know. I hope they're contributing to our tourism here.
Mm-hmm.
Spending a little extra space cash, buying some t-shirts.
Spacebucks. Come on, guys.
Yep. So there are 218 alien races living within our galaxy, and they regularly visit planet Earth. Or at least that's the claim. And the longest it takes for them to visit us from the deepest, darkest corners of the universe is just 2 weeks. That's really good time. That's according to Nancy Malakaria, an expert on alien life who has written several books on the subject. She claims to be in contact with over 200 advanced alien races living in our galaxy. She told Daily Star Online in an exclusive interview, the 218 races visiting Earth are our immediate neighbors around us in space. It's, of course, she goes on to mention the 2 weeks travel time. It's no problem at all for any of the visiting races to hide themselves and their crafts from us. They hide dimensionally. But Nancy, who lives with her husband Jack, believes the American government is hunting these beings. She said, the authorities are hunting them and hunting the humans who work with them. Whenever the aliens are detected, they are framed for crimes to scare the public away and to prevent or ruin any budding trust. She believes Earth is part of a galactic union, and these beings are keen for us to join. She said, in our union area of 5 galaxies, there are over 5,200 worlds of advanced races. This 5 galaxy area and the races participating in it are called the Intergalactic Union. Jack and Nancy believe they can work with the aliens for the benefit of all of us. It comes after shock claims emerged that aliens have stopped nuclear wars. They believe we have a lot to learn and need to change our hostile approach. Nancy, who also owns a cleaning business in Massachusetts, added, almost all of what you hear and read about the alien races visiting Earth is untrue by accident and on purpose. The water is kept muddy and deep and ridiculous. The alien races continue to offer their assistance to our leadership, and our leadership continues to refuse. So the alien races come to us, but carefully because this puts us in danger. The only hostile race around here is ours, but that's not me and you doing that. It's our leadership. In case you don't know this yet, if we don't change the way our leadership runs the world, we are not going to make it. Nancy's warning comes after mystery spots the government don't want us to see were revealed. And just months ago, Daily Star Online exclusively revealed the number of celebrities who are convinced the world is flat after all. The Earth is not flat. Just getting that out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. There is a curvature to it.
I don't know who rapper Bob is. I know who Tila Tequila is because she was on a reality show. But those two, y'all are wrong. Just saying. Wrong.
All right. So is that it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So essentially, there are over 200 alien races that come to visit us from time to time. They take 2 weeks to get here. I assume they travel interdimensionally because that's where they hide. And then the waters are kept muddy because of our leadership. So our leaders don't want us to know that they're here. And if we do discover they're here, then we can't trust them because they're made out to be criminals when they're really not.
Thank God all this was revealed. It's a real eye-opener, isn't it?
Yep. Which, I kind of wondered if she's going to vote for Hillary in hopes that Hillary will kind of open files showing UFO evidence, alien evidence that they exist.
Yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode.
I know. That's why I bring it up.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I was wondering as I was reading this. I'm like, is she going to vote Hillary? Because Hillary seems to be all about putting the truth out there when it comes to aliens.
Well, let's go from politics, a political angle, to a U.S. military angle. How about that?
Sounds good.
From the Inquisitor. Is the U.S. military preparing for an alien invasion? Dum, dum, dum.
Always.
Oh, yeah, Brad, you don't have a soundboard anymore, do you?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, you do. Oh, I thought you had it on the iPad.
I don't have it fired up right now.
Okay. Do I have something? I have to have something here. Hang on. Oh, suspense. There we go. All
there
right.
It is.
So that's the headline. At a symposium marking the 100th anniversary of the ROTC program, held at Norwich University Thursday, April 21st, General Mark A. Milley, U.S. Army Chief of Staff, delivered a speech in which he warned an audience composed mainly of ROTC cadets that as officers, they would be dealing with little green men and hybrid armies. And here's what he said. If the world of 1916 was complex, or the world of 1945 was complex, the world of 2016 is intensely complex. And I can tell you that from personal experience, you'll be dealing with terrorists, you'll be dealing with hybrid armies, you'll be dealing with little green men, the Army chief said. Members of the online alien and UFO conspiracy theory community took his reference to little green men and hybrid armies as admission that the U.S. military is preparing secretly for an alien space invasion that would involve U.S. troops fighting alien armies, alien human hybrids, or alien machine hybrids, cyborgs from space. According to OpenMinds.tv, military specialists have explained that the U.S. Army Chief of Staff was not suggesting to the cadets that the military was preparing to fight alien invaders. The terms are used in military lingo in reference to aspects of modern warfare that have nothing to do with aliens or space invaders, sadly. I was so excited about this story. I'm like, yes! They're finally revealing something. They're showing their hands. We're gonna go to war with those pesky aliens. It's gonna be Independence Day in real life. And then my hopes were dashed when I read that part. So the term hybrid armies refer to the combination of conventional and non-conventional tactics and strategies that many non-state militants and military forces like Al-Qaeda and ISIS fighting the U.S. military have adopted. It also refers to the extension of warfare by state actors into previously unknown spheres, such as the Chinese and Russians waging cyber warfare against the U.S. government and the military. So that's what hybrid army means. The term little green men originated during the takeover of Crimea by Russia in 2014. It referred to the time to masked army men dressed in unmarked military uniforms and driving unmarked vehicles. Although the Kremlin denied the men were Russian troops, they were believed widely to be Russian special forces trained in unconventional methods of warfare. The local population began referring to the men as little green men because although everyone knew they were Russian special forces, however, the Kremlin officially denied their presence in Crimea and Ukraine. There you go. Those are the explanations of what the hell he was talking about. Are you guys disappointed as much as I am?
A little bit. Not going to lie. A little bit.
Yeah. Because it was very hopeful there for a second. They're like, oh my God, they're talking about aliens. Oh my God, they're talking about the abductions all these years. They're making hybrids, and they're finally going to go to war with us. Those hybrids, they've been making their own soldiers with our help, without us knowing. No, it's not. It's not what they're doing.
No such luck.
Yep. All right, so we got one more news story. Before we get to that, I want to, instead of pushing our Patreon this week, I wanted to ask for you guys' help. And there's a major emergency situation going on in the country that I live in, Canada, right now. That's pretty unprecedented when it comes to like forest fires and wildfires. A whole like major city is being evacuated. 60,000 people, plus I think they said you add about 20,000 on top of that from the oil sand workers. We're talking about Fort McMurray, Alberta, and basically the whole city is been evacuated because of this fire, and the Red Cross is looking for your help. So please go to www.redcross.ca. That's redcross.ca, and give as little or much as you can because they need as much help as you can or as we can give them. So please give and help the people, our own refugees, because they're without homes right now. They're living in people's houses, they're living in shelters, and they need things like toiletries, food, clothes, that kind of thing. Because a lot of these people are just getting in their cars and leaving. like getting their ass out of there because the fire is coming. The fire is there right now. Have you guys seen the video footage?
No, but I've seen some
Images.
It's crazy. It's like I've seen like dash cam of the highway, and it's just like it looks like an apocalypse of some kind because there's ash just raining down on these cars. And I saw a video today of this intersection. These cops are out there like directing traffic. They're not wearing anything on their mouth, like they're not covering themselves at all. So they've just got to be suffering from some kind of smoke inhalation. So please, if you can, again, give a little bit of money to redcross.ca and help out the people of Fort McMurray, Alberta, during this crisis. Okay, moving on. Third and final story of the news. Brad, what do you got?
I've got Echo. Oh, it looks like it's cleared up now. Okay. These 3 alien planets around a tiny cold star just might support life. 3 potentially habitable Earth-sized planets have been discovered orbiting a dim, cold nearby star that is barely larger than Jupiter, researchers say. These kinds of tiny cold stars may be the places we should first look for life elsewhere in the universe because they may be the only places where we can detect life on distant Earth-sized planets with our current technology, says study lead author. We're going to go with Mikhail Gillen, an astronomer at the University of Belgium. Okay.
The University
in Belgium, yes.
That's an interesting name.
It is now. I dubbed the of Belgium. Astronomers focused on a star originally named it's an absurd collection of letters and numbers that we're not going to go through.
Oh, I'm totally going to go through.
Nope. Okay. That was discovered using Trappist, which is the transiting planets and planet as small as a small telescope.
Planetesimals?
Oh, planetesimals. There we go. Thank you. A telescope in Chile. This dim, cold red star, now known as Trappist One, is located in the constellation of Aquarius, about 39 light years from Earth. In comparison, Alpha Centauri, the nearest star system, is 4.3 light years from Earth. Now, Trappist 1 is 2,000 times less bright than our sun, a bit less than half as warm as our sun, about 1/12 the sun's mass, and less than 1/8 the sun's width, making it only slightly larger in diameter than Jupiter. Trappist 1 is a type of star known as an ultra-cool dwarf. It's got sunglasses and...
You beat me to it. I was going to make that joke.
It's wearing Izods. And, never mind. That is very common in the Milky Way, making up about 15% of the stars near to the sun. Scientists spotted the 3 planets by observing Trappist 1 dimming at regular intervals as the worlds crossed in front of it, which is, we've talked about transiting before, especially Anessa talking about the trip that she took to Alaska. If you go back to some of our previous episodes, that was what, Venus?
Venus
Yes.
transit. Across the face of the sun.
The face of the sun.
Won't happen again for like 100 years or so.
We'll be long dead.
Speak for yourself. Even forever.
Okay. Let's see. These 3 planets are each only about 10% larger than the Earth. The kind of planets we've found are very exciting from the perspective of searching for life in the universe beyond Earth, says study co-author Adam Bergesser at the University of California, San Diego. The 2 innermost planets are about 60 to 90 times closer to their star than the Earth is to the Sun, with orbits only 1.5 and 2.4 days long. That's our measurement of a day. The orbit of the 3rd planet is currently less certain, ranging between 4.5 and 73 days long. They don't quite have enough information on that one yet. The small size of the star and its planet's orbits mean the structure of this planetary system is much more similar in scale to the system of Jupiter's moons than to that of our solar system. Given how close Trappist One's trio planets are to its star, the researchers suggest Trappist One's gravitational pull likely forced these worlds to become tidally locked. That means that there is a night side and a day side to the planet. It does not rotate.
Does that mean that
on its axis?
There's Romulans on one side and Remans on the other?
Yes.
Okay.
On all three, absolutely. The third of the Trappist One planets, the one farthest from the star, may lie within the star's habitable zone. The area around a star where planets have surfaces warm enough to have liquid water, a key ingredient to life as we know it on Earth. The two planets closest to Trappist One may have day sides that are too hot and night sides that are too cold to host any kind of life as we know on Earth. But the researchers suggest that the borders of the planet's day and night sides may be sweet spots temperate enough for life. Since the planets around Trappist One are relatively nearby, scientists can, in principle, analyze the compositions of their atmosphere. And further down the road, which is within our generation, assess if they can be inhabited. There's another co-author here, Julian DeWitt, planetary scientist at MIT. All of these things are achievable and within reach now. This is a jackpot for the field. Now, the masses of these worlds remain unknown, but future research can pinpoint how much each of these planets gravitationally pull at its siblings when they get close to each other, Gillen said. The strength of each planet's gravitational pull will help scientists deduce its mass, which in turn will help them estimate the planet's destinies. Woohoo!
You're my density.
You're my density.
Density.
And thus compositions. The researchers noted that the Hubble Space Telescope and the forthcoming James Webb Space Telescope, they need to make a George Webb Space Telescope.
Indeed.
For those of you who know what a George Webb restaurant is. Okay, never mind. Could help analyze the atmospheres of those planets for molecules linked with life, such as water, carbon dioxide, and ozone. And this story came to us from space.com.
Yeah, George Webb isn't really a restaurant in Texas.
No, just as Whataburger is not one here.
It's a shame.
So 4.3 light years is pretty close.
That's for Alpha Centauri. This is about, this is what, 43 light years, I said?
Okay, so 10 times farther.
Yeah. 39 light years, sorry.
I was just wondering if this might be a candidate for that light sail deal that they're planning.
Well, to go the 4.3 light years, they were saying it's going to take 20 years. So it would take about 200 years.
Okay, all right.
For it to reach. I mean, they could do it, but it would be a generational thing on Earth as to whether or not, we get that data. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll put the links to all the stories in the show notes if you want to read more about it. But we got more to do here, including this.
Please identify the craft you witnessed.
A black, triangular, three-dimensional shape, huge, just flying, hovering minutes.
Shaped almost like between an egg and like a teardrop.
Two long cylinder objects flying over me.
I could see occupants in it.
It appeared to be rotating, and it was circular to disc shape, and it hovered for maybe about 5 minutes.
All right, this is the sightings segment of the podcast where one of us tells you guys and the rest of us about a sighting of some kind of unknown craft. And it's Anessa's turn this week. So what do you got, Anessa?
A case from just the other day. Well, a couple weeks ago. So, an Indiana witness at New Pekin reported watching a large ship over his country property that emitted bright lights, according to testimony and case number 75938. from the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON. Witness report.
I need to have that teletype sound whenever somebody reads off the number of the case.
I know it'd make it sound more official, but anyway. So this is from MUFON. The witness was outside observing the sky at 11:26 p.m. on April 18th, 2006, when the object was first seen. Out of nowhere, an appearance of a large craft appeared at the south of my woods, the witness stated, and only I observed the back of the craft. It initiated lights on very bright on the back of the craft and initiated forward lights on both sides, but they did not light up the ground or the woods below. Just brightness on the craft, and then from left to right, red light back and forth. The witness described the lights. The lights were white with a tinge of yellow. The craft was heading south towards the knobs, and then blipped out and was gone. This is in Indiana. Have I mentioned that? Okay, yes. Awesome.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so used to like city and then state, and then my mind just like, it's like there was state, and then a few words later there was city, and I'm sorry. So anyway, lights were white with a tinge of yellow. The craft was heading south towards the knobs and then blipped out and was gone. I want to point out that the lights were very bright and made it hard to adjust my vision to see the rest of the craft. The length of the rear of the craft, of what I could see, was in the measurement of 90 to 100 feet across. Indiana MUFON Chief Investigator Philip Leach investigated and closed this case as unknown. The object was described as 90 to 100 feet across the rear of the craft. Lights were white with yellow red. No sound, no emission, Leach wrote in his report. Light coming from the object was extremely bright, making it hard for the witness to observe and shape the exact size of the craft. Now, I have to say, Philip Leach is very good at summarizing what the witness said. So Leach asked the witness to use other cases for light comparison. My observation last night was the lights were stationary on the craft, but similar in brightness on the sides, but the lights on the back were somewhat brighter, which for them worked out that an individual on the ground observing, the brightness would block out the vision, and that was done, the witness stated. Leach wrote that the witness stated that the object was there for 1 minute and gone the next, best described as if the craft went through another dimension quickly. The area had numerous different types of events, with the witness stating that it was somewhat of a UFO hotspot. The following day, the witness made contact with a couple of neighbors and asked if they had observed anything. Both stated that they had retired for the evening and didn't see or hear anything. The witness did return to the event area to get a better measurement of the size of the rear of the craft, stating it was between 80 to 100 feet across the rear of the craft, down from 90 to 100 feet. The object was 500 feet to 1 mile away from the witness. Weather conditions. Temperatures were 45 degrees, dew point 44%, humidity 50%, precipitation 0, winds 1 miles per hour out of the west, wind gusting up to 12 miles per hour. Woohoo! Visibility was clear, 10-mile and limited ceiling, and the barometric pressure was 30.2. And Leach closed out the case, which that was something that I wanted to kind of point out. Was it's really interesting, especially when you get a witness that reports something right away and not like, hey, I remember this one time I was drunk in college and I saw these lights and it was totally a UFO. Where you don't really have that sort of data, so you can't really say for sure, like, oh, it could have been this particular weather phenomenon that the witness had seen,
yeah,
and not like a UFO.
You have to factor it all in, right?
Right, and so I kind of dig the immediate reports, especially these days, where you can just go to the internet, turn on the TV, pull out your phone, and be like, "Hey, what's the weather like?" Or "What was the weather like a few days ago?" And you can kind of verify, like, okay, clear skies, low winds, probably not lightning, probably not some weird weather thing going on, nothing out of the ordinary. So to me, that really adds to the credibility of these witness statements like this. So this wasn't particularly exciting, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that and how I think that's really cool And other people might find this really interesting. But yeah, it's kind of a shame that the neighbor or the guy has neighbors that go to bed early.
They sound elderly when
They
they
do. They retired for the night. I don't even think my dad said that, and he was in his 80s. So
yeah, maybe it's a regional thing.
It might be a regional thing. So maybe in Indiana, they're big on saying, "Oh, they've retired for the night." We just say they go to bed.
Watch the Hoosiers play. That's all I know about Indiana. Or they're watching the Indianapolis 500.
Right. So yeah, no, yeah. A shame he didn't find anybody else that had seen it, but I dig the effort.
All right. So keep your eyes up to the sky. Make any note. Make a note of any kind of weird thing you see, and don't forget, MUFON is your friend. Call them. Tell them what you saw with detailed notes. All right. So for more about this podcast, including show notes, links, and for all other shows, you can, first, go to our show page at gncasts.com/aliens. That's GNCASTS.com/aliens. Or for the other shows on the Galactic Netcast Network, go to gncasts.com. And one of the shows is the Adventure Party podcast, which Brad hosts. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Adventure Party podcast, Brad?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Just kidding. No, it's a show that we do on a weekly basis, and by weekly I mean either Saturday or Sunday, depending on my co-host's schedule. And Glenn Bittner, my co-host, is a game shop manager, and he has also created and published his own RPG system. And he reviews games every week. We talk about news, and typically we have a guest that has something to do with the game industry, whether it's a board game, card game, RPG, computer game, whatever. It's some aspect of gaming. And that's what we talk about. And the show's about an hour long. And we're just all about having a good time and exposing people to other games and other things that are out there that maybe they don't know about, or maybe they want to know more about. So that's what we do.
You can find the audio podcast at gncasts.com/adventure. Or what's the short URL? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Or you can watch the videos on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/user/galactic. Just go to youtube.com/galactic netcasts and check out our playlists. Every show has their own playlist, so you can check out all of them right there. All right, so let's do our picks and warnings. These are alien-related media that we have enjoyed over the last week or so. And looks like, Brad, do you want to go? I know that you're first in the lineup, but you just got done talking. Do you want to go first?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay.
My pick this week is a trade paperback called Herald. Herald, as in heralding the coming of something.
Or the Evening Herald, like the Boston Herald or something like that.
Correct. And the interesting thing about this is it's a story about H.P. Lovecraft and Nikola Tesla teaming up together to fight some of the forces of science and magic that are coming to attack the Earth. And these creatures are alien in nature, but I think we've stated before that, like if we went back to the 1200s and showed somebody a cell phone, they would think that was magic, right? Mm-hmm. So the aliens, the magic that is used is really sciencey. It's not so much mysticism as it's probably like science on a different level. and it comes across as magic. And they use their ability, H.P. Lovecraft using magic and Nikola Tesla using energy, electricity, and science to defeat these encroaching alien forces and the cultists trying to bring in these life forms to take over the Earth. The first one is 96 pages long. It's called Herald, Lovecraft and Tesla, History in the Making. And it was a very, very fun and interesting read. I highly recommend it. Sorry, I had something in my eye. I'm trying to remember. It's written by John Riley, and the artist is Dexter Weeks. I'm sorry, the artists are Dexter Weeks and Tom Rogers. Just to get that right. It is available for purchase on Amazon, and that's how I got my copy. So we'll have a link in the show notes so that you can get your copy of this.
Did you just pick it up? Did you just read it?
I picked it up 2 weeks ago. Yes, I just read it.
Okay. So how many flying saucers are you going to give this?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5.
Wow, high praise. So what did you like the best about it?
Having read like the biography of Tesla and I haven't read an actual biography of H.P. Lovecraft, but I've read stories about him. It seemed like they were portraying them relatively well. But he has a relationship with his mother in the comic. And I remember him talking with his aunts quite a bit in Providence, but I don't remember his mother so much. So that kind of threw me for a loop. And I would probably upgrade that to 5 if I knew a little bit more about H.P. Lovecraft's actual family. But all in all, I enjoyed the storytelling, the artwork. It was very fun and easy to follow. And it was a very good read.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely.
My pick this week is The Secret History of UFOs.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this was a documentary about 2 hours long on Nat Geo, or National Geographic Channel. Basically just documentary history. The title pretty much says it all. The secret history, or not so secret history, of unidentified flying objects. And here's the blurb from the Nat Geo TV.com website. At Washington National Airport, air traffic control reported 7 slow-moving blips over D.C. in 1952, which we've talked about on this very podcast, causing the Air Force to scramble fighter jets. During the 1980s, an increasing number of people claimed they were abducted by aliens from their own bedrooms. Bringing together eyewitness testimony, expert opinions, and archival video and photos, Secret History of UFOs investigates some of the biggest landmark UFO history sightings in history. It's a really neat documentary. I'm going to give it. I'm going to just come out and give my my rating. It's going to be 5 out of 5 because it's comprehensive. It pretty much covers all the major touchstones in the history of UFO sightings, abductions, or any kind of alien unidentified craft related stuff. Like they talk about Roswell. Actually, they go through early history of UFOs, and then they get to the 1980s. Then they go back to Roswell because nobody really knew anything about Roswell until the 1980s, when a couple of books came out about it. It was covered up rather well up until the information leaked, and people started to kind of come out, and because I think they were afraid for the longest time that they were going to end up in a shallow grave out in the desert. And they were finally free to discuss their personal experiences in 1947. It took 20-some years to get them to do that. So that's just one of the things they cover. They actually talked about the sighting that I had last week in, Kentucky? Those women that were supposedly abducted.
Oh, yeah.
they talked. Well, that happened after the Betty and Barney Hill. So Betty and Barney Hill kind of set the tone for alien abduction. There was a lot of similar stories after their story. So they kind of connected that to people kind of knew about it and maybe not necessarily purposely made up a story, but maybe they were influenced by that story subconsciously. It was very good at kind of going both sides, like, could it be possible? But then again, the skeptics say this. So it's very even-handed in its portrayal or its coverage of UFOs and aliens throughout history. So check it out if you can. It was on our local cable system here. You may be able to find it online somewhere. Again, it's The Secret History of UFOs, and I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 flying saucers.
Nice.
Okay, Anessa, rounding out the picks/warnings.
I am a terrible friend. It's like everybody does their own show, and I listen to just about none. So I'm terrible at that. I'm in that regards. Well, because it's there's all these interesting topics and shows, and it's I want to listen to them, but then I also have all these things I have to read and listen to and watch, and it just becomes my pile of things to consume just become bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I just don't do anything about it.
This is an awesome lead-in.
I know. But I made an attempt this week.
Woo!
That said.
Good for you.
And I gave Daryl's show, the Sci-Fi Survival Guide, episode number 5, a listen. Woo! This episode was Close Encounter of the Fourth Kind. And this month's survival guide covers it talks about aliens, UFOs, and kind of goes into a bit more detail about the Hynek classification system. He talks a bit about how you can prepare, which from what I gather, there's not really a way that you can prepare for an alien sighting or an alien abduction or something. You're not really safe anywhere. And what happens after? So I thought it was really interesting because, you always hear close encounters of the third kind, fourth kind. I think it goes up to 5 or 6 or something. I forget. At least up to 5. Yeah, because he added 2 more after he did the first 3. So there we go. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was very well done. I love the reenactment that he does of a possible UFO experience of a fourth kind. I love the warnings. Hey, just so you know, we're going to talk about this. If you've experienced this, it might trigger something. Don't want to trigger anything where you have a panic attack or something. Mental breakdown. So
isn't he awesome at that? He
really is, and he's so calm about it.
He's so British about it.
He's so British about it, and it's lovely. But no, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the reenactment. There's a bit of a surprise in there. I totally care about my Kindle, Daryl. Thank you very much. And no, I recommend people give it a listen so they know what I'm talking about.
There's some guest stars in this episode of the Sci-Fi Survival Guide.
Yes, there are.
So yeah, definitely give it a listen.
And just a real quick explainer of the Sci-Fi Survival Guide, he basically takes scenarios what's some other stuff he's done, Brad? He's done
robot apocalypse, robots taking over the Earth,
nuclear war, nuclear bomb going off.
Yep.
That's the most non-sci-fi thing he did so far, I think.
But it's very sciencey, so
yeah. And it's only once a month, and it's a feast for the ears. He puts a lot of effort into it. There's sound effects. I could not believe how well he portrayed the character that he did at the end.
He did a wonderful job. It was brilliant. So no, like I said, highly recommended. Give it a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
You can find it at gncasts.com. It's one of ours. It's on the Galactic Netcast Network. So I think this may be the first time that we've actually done a pick as one of our picks was something of our own. So that's going to be a cool landmark, I guess.
Indeed. Congratulations, Daryl.
Woohoo!
It's like a snake eating its own tail or whatever, right?
Which, by the way, was a tattoo that Scully got in an episode of The X-Files.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
She ended up like hallucinating a little bit.
Yeah, because of the ergot.
The ink. Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about the X-Files, we have a podcast for that too. It's called the Exploring the X-Files. At gncasts.com. All right. So if you want to leave us feedback, email aliens@gncasts.com. That's aliens@gncasts.com. Or call our voicemail number. It's 805-328-3966. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Google Play. We're there now too. And you can find all the links just by clicking the subscribe tab at our website, gncasts.com, or search for us on all those platforms. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Alien Invasion podcast. Before we go, final thoughts? Brad, what do you got?
Should totally look into Herald, the Tesla and H.P. Lovecraft comic.
And not the other comic where it's a guy named Herald.
Correct.
It just sits there.
That's a bit boring.
Yeah.
From what I hear.
Odessa, what's your final thought?
Whatever happened to Growly Bear?
Growly Bear.
Yes.
Yes.
One of our listeners.
One of our listeners. Like,
Oh,
I
hang
remember
on.
him being in several episodes commenting while we were recording this show, and then it was just like nothing.
Hang on. No, it's somebody else. No, he has not checked in tonight. He's from down under someplace, either Australia or New Zealand, as I recall. I think New Zealand, actually.
Yeah, I just kind of wondered.
Okay.
Because like I said, he's like, oh, why didn't you tell me that you were recording episodes?
Yeah, I think maybe he got
and then you
frustrated.
did, and then I guess you didn't after that, and then he was like, cobblers to you guys. So
Yeah.
no, I just wondered.
Well, if you're out there, Growly Bear, we miss you.
We notice.
And thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
That was the best bye ever.